Christopher Nolan's Odyssey just had the biggest opening weekend of his entire career, bigger than The Dark Knight Rises, bigger than Oppenheimer, $264 million worldwide in 3 days. And here's the thing almost nobody's talking about, the actual war everyone pictures when they hear Trojan War. His movie doesn't even show it. That story happens before the film even starts, so I'm going to show you the war Hollywood's record-breaking hits skipped completely. And it's stranger than anything in the myth that I'm going to show you exactly where the myth and the dirt split apart, what archaeologists have actually dug out of the ground at Troy, what a Bronze Age empire's own government records say about the city, and why the wooden horse you're picturing right now almost certainly never existed. By the end, you'll know the war behind the movie better than most people who've already seen it. For over 2,000 years, most educated people thought Troy was fiction, a poet's invention. Homer's Iliad was treated the way we'd treat a superhero movie, entertaining, but not history. Then, in 1870, a German businessman named Heinrich Schliemann showed up at a hill called Hisarlık, in northwestern Turkey, and started digging. He wasn't the first to suspect this was the place. An English diplomat named Frank Calvert had already pointed him there and even owned part of the land. But Schliemann took the credit, and he dug like a man in a hurry, blasting through layers of history, looking for one thing, gold. He found it, a hoard of jewelry he called Priam's treasure, and he smuggled it out of the country and dressed his wife up in it for photographs. It made headlines around the world. Troy was real, except it wasn't that simple. Decades later, scientists figured out that treasure was over 1,000 years too old to have anything to do with the Trojan War. In his rush for glory, Schliemann had also destroyed the very layer of the city he was looking for, bulldozing straight through the real Bronze Age Troy to get to an older, richer-looking one underneath. So if Schliemann found the wrong Troy, where was the right one? That answer took another 100 years, and it's stranger than anything he imagined. Here is something the movie definitely won't explain. There isn't one Troy. There are 9. Hisarlık was rebuilt, destroyed, and rebuilt again, over and over, for 4,000 years. Archaeologists label these layers Troy I through Troy 9, like tree rings. Troy 1 and 2 are too early, Bronze Age, sure, but centuries before anyone could have fought Homer's war. Troy 2 is actually where Schliemann's gold came from, roughly 1,000 years too early. The layer that matters is Troy 6, built around 1700 BC. It's a genuinely impressive city, massive sloped stone walls, towering defenses, a wealthy citadel trading with Mycenaean Greece, Cyprus, and the Hittite Empire to the east. Around 1250 BC, something wrecks a big chunk of it. For a long time, people assumed war. Now, most archaeologists think it was an earthquake. Troy sat, and still sits, in one of the most seismically active regions on Earth. The city gets rebuilt almost immediately. That rebuild is Troy VIIA. And this is the one that matters most, because Troy VIIA doesn't just show damage, it shows siege, houses crammed together. Storage jars sunk into the floors, like people were bracing for a long emergency. And then, sometime around 1200 to 1180 BC, it burns. Violently. That fire is the closest thing archaeology has to Homer's war. But here's the problem. The evidence inside those ashes doesn't match the story you know at all. Let's go point by point, because this is where the real story gets interesting. Did a city called Troy exist, and get violently destroyed around the time Homer's war supposedly happened? Yes. Verified fact. Skeletons have been found in that destruction layer, including remains excavated with bronze arrowheads still lodged in the bone. Did the war last 10 years? Almost certainly not. There's no archaeological way to prove exact duration, but historians who study Bronze Age warfare will tell you, sieges lasting a full decade, with a coalition army camped on a beach the entire time, simply doesn't match how ancient warfare worked. Most likely, Homer, or the centuries of oral poets before him, took what was probably a matter of months and stretched it into an epic for dramatic effect. Did Helen of Sparta's kidnapping start the war? There's zero historical evidence Helen existed at all. Same for Achilles, Hector, Paris, and Odysseus himself, the man Matt Damon is playing on IMAX screens right now. Not one of these figures has any independent historical confirmation. They live entirely inside the poem. So the heroes might be fiction. But the single most famous image from this entire war, the one thing everybody can picture, turns out to be the biggest fiction of all, the Trojan Horse. There is no archaeological evidence for it whatsoever. None. Zero. Not a fragment, not a mention in any non-Greek record, nothing. So where did it come from? There are three competing theories, and one of them is honestly more unsettling than the myth. Theory 1. It's a metaphor for an earthquake. In Greek religion, Poseidon was both the god of the sea and the god of horses and the god of earthquakes, the same deity, three domains. If Troy's walls really were cracked open by tremors before the final attack, an oral storyteller centuries later might have folded that into a gift from Poseidon, shaped like his sacred animal, a horse. Theory 2. It's a disguised siege engine. Bronze Age armies did build wooden siege towers and battering rams, and covering wood in fresh animal hide was a known trick to stop it from being set on fire. Horse hides were common and easy to get. A giant wooden structure wrapped in horsehide, rolled up to city walls, could easily curdle into legend as a wooden horse after 500 years of retelling. Theory 3, and this one's my favorite. Homer describes Mycenaean warships elsewhere in his poems as horses of the deep. Troy was a port city. If Greek soldiers slipped past its coastal defenses by sea instead of storming the main gates, that naval infiltration, ships, not siege, could be the real seed of the story. Here's the honest answer. Nobody knows for certain. But every single one of those theories is more historically grounded than a 200-foot wooden statue nobody could plausibly build with Bronze Age tools rolling unnoticed through a city gate. But maybe the biggest twist isn't the horse at all. It's who actually attacked the city, and the records survived to prove it. Written by the people living right next door, while Homer was writing myth from the Greek side, 500 years after the fact, someone else was writing bureaucracy in real time. The Hittite Empire, the dominant superpower of Bronze Age Anatolia, their clay tablets, dug up at their capital Hattusa, repeatedly mention a vassal city called Wilusa. And that uncertainty isn't a gap in the research, it is the answer. The Trojan War almost certainly wasn't one clean, isolated event with one villain. It was probably one violent flashpoint inside a much bigger civilizational collapse, where half the Mediterranean was burning at once and nobody left behind a record explaining why. Homer, telling the story 5 centuries later, took that chaos and compressed it into a single 10-year war with a beginning, middle, and end, one army, one cause, one ending, because that's what makes a story work. Real history rarely has that shape. Myths need it. And once you see that, the movie you're about to watch, or already saw, starts to make a lot more sense as exactly what it is, a beautiful story built on top of a much messier truth. If you want more of this, real archaeology versus the movies, myths, and legends built on top of it, that's exactly what this channel is for. Subscribe, and I'll keep digging up what's actually buried under the stories you already think you know. So here's where we're left. We know the city was real. We know it burned. We know an empire next door was watching it happen and wrote it down. What we don't know, and what archaeologists may never fully answer, is who actually lit that fire, and whether anyone alive that night would have recognized a single word of the legend it became.